they've lost their mom maybe to death or divorce. Those things are going to make a marriage sticky. And especially if you're not really in love with a person, but maybe you might grow in love with them. Is this something that is good enough to say, yes, I do. I will. I'll marry you.
It's so funny because you've laid out so many things there, but each of them are relevant. Yes, women do want to be taken care of. They do want to be considered. And, most anybody would hear what you've just laid out and thought, well, of course not. Not, if this person if you don't love them. The question there is, for millennia, people have been marrying under those circumstances. And, can we really say that our way of doing marriage today is better than it was in the past? And, part of the question is not so much, yes, love is absolutely important. But the question would be not, do I love this person, but do I see myself being able to love this person? Mm-hmm. Our grandparents, great-grandparents, many times, the husband or the wife, it was that little person in their farm community, and they were like, you know what, yes, this person's not sweeping me off my feet, but I could build a life with this person. And we are part of the heritage of those marriages, So it is important for us to understand that, yes, just, the swooning is not just the central part, right. That could this person take care of me? Can I take care of this person? Can I add something to their lives? Can they add something to my life? There was an article a number of years ago in The Atlantic, and the woman, I think the title of the article was Just Settle. And, what she was saying was, I'm 42, 45 years old. There were men in my 20s that if I had just, quote-unquote, made the compromise and married them, mm-hmm. I would be happy today, They weren't the dreamboat. They weren't right. The ideal. But you know what? We would have been able to build a life together and been happy. And she says, and for you ladies out there that kind of married a, good enough guy, do you want to trade places? And she says, I've never had any woman take me up on that.
Right. Right.
So it is that idea of, sometimes the good enough guy, the good enough wife is really good enough.
And, I know that it's a battle in people's minds because, we've had this concept, especially in America, for some time now, that, love is our option for marriage. It really is. And we want to feel our way into that action. And sometimes you can act your way into that feeling.
Yeah.
And many of our, like you point out, many of our grandparents did. It was for better or for worse. They were marrying at 14 and 15 years old. They didn't know anything about love, for sure, then. But, it is a frightening concept that maybe we might not love that person, but we do know that the stats have changed. When love came in the mix, the divorce rate went up. It's interesting. Can you stick around for another segment?
You bet.
All right. We'll be back with more of Just Ask Joyce and Dr. Glenn Stanton from Focus on the Family. Don't go away.
WFIA, The Spirit.
How's everything taste tonight, folks?
The steak is amazing. Where'd you get your beef?
As a chef, it's important to know where your food comes from. That's why we buy local and Kentucky-raised food.
We're the Pettit family from Webster County, Kentucky.
We started out raising commercial cattle. It's a calling.
It's a way of life.
That's the natural progression, a way of life.
We take a lot of pride knowing that what I set on the table for our supper at night is a good product.
We are a Kentucky farm family, feeding Kentucky.
Feeding the world.
Sponsored by the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association and the Kentucky Agricultural Development Fund.
I'm always listening to music on my phone, but I don't always have Wi-Fi. And I don't always have data to spare. With Next Radio, you have radio on your smartphone. There's no subscription, and it uses 3 times less battery and 10 times less data than streaming. With Next Radio, I can keep going and keep my music going.
With the Next Radio app, you can interact with radio and get your music on the go, all while using 3 times less battery and 10 times less data than streaming.
Next Radio.
Shakes and Scallops, roofing, shutters and gutters, soffit and fascia, vinyl sidings, doors, and yes, windows. Along with their attractive merchandise and professional installation, they also have an incredible peace of mind lifetime warranty. Yep, from the date of installation, Window World will be there to service any defects in material or workmanship. Now that's the kind of people I love to deal with. Call Window World today at 502-671-7777, 671-7777, and visit their website at windowworldlouisville.com.
It's our golden anniversary at WFIA.
50 years on the air in Kentuckiana.
And you can help us kick off our 50th summer this Sunday, Father's Day at Huber's. And WFIA and Better by Design present Gold City. With plenty of gold records of their own, Gold City.
Celebrate Dad's Heart of Gold with a sweet deal that's good as gold.
With 2 tickets, which include Huber's Family Restaurant's amazing buffet and a Gold City concert for just $50. Hurry, tickets are running out.
Gold City.
Each ticket comes with Joe Huber's Restaurant's famous fried chicken buffet. Don't miss this golden opportunity with Gold City. Call Huber's now for tickets, 812-923-5255.
It's this Sunday.
That's 812-923-5255. Call 812-923-5255.
Hi, I'm Don Crow. Join me this weekend for The Christian Outlook. We cover everything from the Bible and theology to politics and the persecuted church, all the stuff that matters each and every week. Hear from newsmakers, Christian leaders, voices you can trust. Join me on The Christian Outlook.
Stay informed with The Christian Outlook. Saturday mornings at 7 on 94.7 FM WFIA. The Spirit. You're listening to Just Ask Joyce on WFIA. The Spirit.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Our very special guest today is one of my favorite guys, and he knows it very well, and now you do too. Dr. Glenn Stanton, he is the Director of Family Formations at Focus on the Family. Always a pleasure to have him on the show, and always very informative. Dr. Glenn, we're talking about this idea of marriage for other things than love. And I have to throw this out to you, because we want to look at this from a Jesus perspective. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about? Does God think that the design of marriage should include like a business partnership instead of like, we're going to enter into it with just pure emotions? How does he feel about that? What does it look like?
You know what? Yeah, and that's a great question. And, of course, we need to look at it from God's perspective, Jesus' perspective. And it's interesting that when we consider that Jesus has been waiting on his bride, he is a bridegroom, and he has had a horribly unfaithful bride. But he plugs in there, and now we are not Jesus, we're not God, so it's harder for us to be faithful to our unfaithful spouse than he is. But I think, kind of incumbent in your question is we need to understand, again, like we said earlier, that marriage is a multi-leveled kind of relationship, if you will. It is a business partnership. Mm-hmm. You know what? My wife and I, we share a checkbook. We share the exchange of goods and services and paying bills and
parenting.
Sharing money and parenting. It's also just a partnership of work. You know what? You do this work, I'll do this work, and, we'll try to carry the load together. It is a relationship of love and sex and passion. It's also a relationship of just mutual encouragement. Marriage is, think about it. Is there any other relationship, maybe besides parenting, that has so many different layers to it? And marriage is all of those things. And so we need to understand that, yes, marriage is a business contract. Yes, marriage is a psychological contract. Yes, marriage is or let me say a covenant. But it's a full commitment of one to the other, that I am going to help you and provide for you financially. Typically, that's the man to the woman. the woman, I'm going to help you and I'm going to care for you, and we're just going to build a life together. And that's over and above, sort of like you said, the passionate, erotic sort of emotions and things like that. That's certainly part of it. I like to say it's like, flour in bread. Flour is the main ingredient, just like love is the main ingredient, but you can't make bread with just flour. You have to have these other smaller ingredients that are very powerful that make up the thing itself.
How true. Well, when I opened the show, I was sharing with our listening audience about how India still does arranged marriages, and many countries still do. They still are in many cultures, and you can probably talk more about this than I can, but there are those cultures that still arrange marriages, and the parents decide, based on some really fundamental aspects of a person's life, and they go back even into the history. Was there any alcoholism anywhere in this person's history? Is there any divorce anywhere in this person's history? They have some criteria that they really hang on to, and they sift that into their decision about who they will even introduce their child to for a consideration for an arranged marriage. They do give them a little bit of a leeway, but it's like, okay, here's your choices, now you choose. And then of course they believe in commitment and then love. What do you think about arranged marriages?
Well, first of all, in the sense of, we don't agree with that generally. But you have to say, and you just laid it out so nicely, is one, they are not required legal marriages, when we say arranged marriages. In some Muslim communities it is, but in India and others, these are. I had a friend at church, and he had an arranged marriage. He's from India, but he kind of laughed. He goes, No, this wasn't a marriage that I had to do. Right. This was a marriage that our parents said, you know what, you guys may be right for each other, and they got involved. Right. So first of all, you're bringing in the intergenerational wisdom and insight, and your parents know what's best for you. You know what? They're just like God. They're not going to, set you up with some trial for the rest of your life. They're going to set you up with somebody who they think is good. And yes, at the end of the day, it is your decision. But can we really say that our way of bringing couples together is any better than the, sort of arranged marriage sort of way? There is a movie that I think is so wonderful. It's not a Christian movie, but it's just a beautiful movie, and it's called Arranged. And it's about two girls. They become school teachers in the same school. One is Muslim. The other is very conservative Jewish. And their parents are, arranging for them potential suitors. And it shows the bad and the good, but these women end up getting married. And to watch them and the outcome of it, and really what the movie is about, beautiful Hollywood movie, has won a lot of awards, but it just basically says, you know what, maybe arranged marriages aren't as dumb as we think they are. The movie's called Arranged, and not long ago it was on Instant View on Amazon, but you can find the trailer online. Very clean, very good movie, and it just, it brings up this idea that maybe this arranged idea of the intergenerations, grandma, grandpa, mother, father, getting involved in our marriage decisions isn't such a bad idea.
Well, there have been many, many times where I've mentored people saying, my mom, my dad didn't approve of him, and I wish I'd listened. Or my mom didn't approve of her. She said, son, she doesn't look like anything that you would choose. And I didn't listen to her. And, so we do have the best interest of our children at heart. Yep. And, but we here in America don't have the same notion of respect for our parents as other countries do. Either. So,
and the sense of community. We tend to be more, this is my decision. Yeah. I get to choose. And yes, it is your decision, but you know what? God has put people around you who care for you and love you and have experience, with their own marriage.